Lori has given me a very nice segue here, because I was thinking, okay, which direction do I want to go in? And actually what Lori was just talking about is something that we hoped to instill in our work, and that is, yes, we want people, individuals we work with to acquire skills, but there are so many pitfalls by focusing just on skills, skills, skills. We focus on the activity level. We look at routines and activities that are a part of a person's life, or we feel that would be an important element to enhance quality of life and enhance experiences, and then we say, what skills are needed to succeed in that activity? We're still, when we talk about skills, 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 we're still running down that dead-end street of teaching skills that in too many cases are just not connected to success in everyday life, whether it's playing roller coaster tycoon, or whether it's knowing how to be independent or semi-independent in the school cafeteria, or whether it's knowing how to take public transportation. So I think that's one of our big issues in the CRS model. We start at the level of activities. Activities at home, activities in the community, activities in school, and then we talk about, okay, as a team, what are the highest priority goals and objectives? That is skills. Many of them being skills that would really help this person to be as independent, as successful, and as well regulated as possible so they enjoy the experience, or if it's a stressful experience, because we all have stressful experiences, that they could cope and manage under the natural stress in those experiences. So that's one point I think is important. I really want to shift a little bit, because again, so much of what we've spoken about is services to kids, and get back to the whole notion of communities of support to families. There's too often in the field of autism, this is Barry's opinion, we've stayed within the boundaries of autism, and we don't look at research on other labeled disability categories. And there is an absolute seminal study that people in early intervention usually know this inside out. A person named Jack Shonkoff, a world-renowned developmental pediatrician. He was a dean at Brandeis, he just retired recently. He did a study in the state of Massachusetts. Long story short, he followed close to 300 children, different kinds of disabilities, out of early intervention. They looked at all of the factors, everything from whether the child had an identifiable neurological impairment, if they were premature, the degree of quote-unquote brain bleeds in the prematurity, diagnostic category, and they followed these kids many years later. And they looked at what best predicted to positive outcomes across a wide variety of children with different disabilities. More than any other variable, it was family factors, okay? In terms of such things as financial stress on the family, okay? In terms of structure of the family, single-parent families versus in what they call intact families, if you will, two partners. And I don't think we're learning that, even though research in autism tells us that family involvement is one of the factors that predicts to better outcome. My simple lesson has been this family retreat that I started with my wife, along with a parent support group run by parents, and we thought, a getaway weekend. Everybody needs a getaway weekend, okay? After 15 years, and some parents have come many years, some parents come every third year, some parents say, hi, I haven't been here in 7 years, I'm back again. We do extensive evaluations each year, and we're getting stuff like, coming to this retreat 1 weekend a year has saved our marriage, okay? Coming to this retreat allowed me as a father for the first time to connect to other fathers. And I think we have to begin to think out of the box, because sometimes it's relatively inexpensive, brief, quote-unquote, interventions if it results in networking and it's generative, can have a big bang for the buck. And I don't think that we're looking at out of the box. We're still, and I said this during my talk, we're still talking about, okay, what works better? ABA versus floor time versus this. Now, yeah, that's fine, but the proportion of money that's put into that kind of research is just so skewed compared to layers of family support, innovative models that give us a very, very big bang for the buck. My last comment, kind of related to this though, is the whole issue of evidence-based practice. I heard a moan. Of course, the intention is very good when we talk about evidence-based practice, that we need some degree of evidence that an approach or an intervention has positive outcomes, positive effects. However, if you look at the research on evidence, the descriptions of evidence-based practice, the experts who developed the notion have said there are many sources of evidence to say something is working. Too many people, and I'm an academician, I played the game, I got promoted, tenure at 2 different universities, and a little bit of the rebel's gonna come out in me now. I know that you could take the same findings and use a different set of statistics and change non-significant results to significant results. Most of the research in the field of autism, especially outcome research, is published by the people who have an investment in that working. And we have to look seriously about that. There are regulations when it comes to pharmaceutical companies doing that. We are in a very non-regulated area when it comes to doing research in autism. And so, for example, when it comes to evidence-based practice, other sources of evidence might be what's called social validity. Are there people who know the child well outside of the research measures who say, I'm seeing some real positive changes here, and that's important, especially parents, okay? Let me give you a striking answer. The wonderful, incredibly innovative work that has now been documented in Autism the Musical and in the Miracle Project, under most approaches to looking at efficacy of work, I promise you, and there are a couple coming out right now, one from the state of Maine and one from a center called the National Autism Center, which was set up by a private agency, and I was asked to be on that board, and it was too skewed in one direction, okay? They would say the Miracle Project is not recommended, okay? There's a category, not recommended, that's being used in these evidence-based practice documents. And even if the parents say, even if Wyatt gets up there, as he did, and says, Elaine, keep doing this, it's been so important in my life, there's going to be some people who say, I don't see a published study on this, not recommended, don't do it, okay? We could talk about the fact that social stories, before a few studies showed that it was helpful and effective, was around for 15 years. Carol Gray was criticized. You're promoting this approach that doesn't work, stop it, okay? We could say the same thing for relaxation strategies. We do have to weigh the pros and the cons, and the costs and the benefits about so many different approaches. But I think we have to be very wary when we talk about family choice and treatment options. Because I tell parents all the time, they say, gosh, should I do this, should I not do this? My first thing is, what's your gut? Is this a good fit for your child? Have you done some of this? Does it seem to help? And then I'll give my opinion after that, but it's ultimately the family choice. Now, I'm not talking about the real charlatan approaches. Okay, so go to Hawaii and get crystal therapy and your kid will be cured. All right? But I'm talking about, there are a lot of approaches that are very creative that may be empirically supported 5 or 10 or 15 years down the line, but ultimately we have to say, it's not only going to be expert panels who are going to tell us what we should do or what's recommended or not. And that's a big and a huge issue, and it's only going to get bigger in the next few years in the field of autism, because more documents are going to be coming out telling parents what they should choose and what they should not choose.